What's going on, fight fans? Thank you for checking out the National Grappler channel. I got my tea here. We just got done watching UFC 251, the first fight on the Fight Island, and it was a good card, a very, very good card. We saw what we wanted to see. There are some upsets that we didn't see happening. Volkanovski versus Max Holloway, that was very, very crazy. Crazy. Max Holloway knocked Volkanovski to the ground like 2 times in the first round. And in the 5th round, Volkanovski took Max Holloway down maybe 2 or 3 times. Most people had Max Holloway winning the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd round, and had Volkanovski winning the 4th and the 5th round. Somehow Volkanovski ended up getting the split decision over Max Holloway, which is crazy from what I was seeing. And I was running Twitter polls, and it's conflicting information. I'm gonna make another video about that, but pretty much I had people saying that Volkanovski did win the rounds, but when I posted out for the overall winner of the fight, overwhelmingly people said that Max Holloway won, but the judges gave the decision to Volkanovski. And it's a shame. It's a shame because I agree. I think Max Holloway won that fight. They should have a trilogy fight, but that's not going to happen. Volkanovski is going to be going against Zabit or Yair Rodriguez, someone along those lines, Ortega, Chan Sung Jung, someone like that. And we got to see what happens with Max Holloway, man. I mean, he put on an amazing show. Like, when they were fighting, they're going strike for strike. Every time Volkanovski came in with like a leg kick or something like that, Max Holloway had a way to respond and counter that. Like, he received a kick and replied with a punch or a kick of his own, kicking down the middle. Like I said, he knocked Volkanovski down. I think he knocked him down in the 1st round and the 2nd round, if I'm not mistaken. So, Max Holloway dominated that fight. The big question I have is, like, okay, so let's say Volkanovski, he's a rugby player. He wrestled in, collegiately or high school style. And so he gets takedowns, solid takedowns in the 5th round. That's understandable. Okay, you give him the 5th round, especially for the takedowns. But what about in the 1st round when Max Holloway knocked this guy down 2 or 3 times? What about in the 2nd round when Max Holloway knocked this guy down once or twice? What about that? Like, how do you compare 2 knockdowns in the 1st or 2nd round to someone taking down someone and not applying any damage, simply just getting a takedown? Like, there has to be a fine distinction between getting a takedown and working to apply damage. Like, you have to advance. That's my thing. Like, if you take somebody down, you should have to advance and apply some kind of threat to your opponent. Taking someone down and holding them there should either be a time limit or there has to be something done where, like, just because I take you down and hold you there and don't do anything with it, it's like that's milking the clock. It's like a shot clock. We need a shot clock on that type of thing. But we'll talk about that more. In the main event, what you guys think? The main event was interesting. Jorge Masvidal, I was impressed that his wrestling really, I guess, well, I'm not surprised because he's a student of the game and he takes pride in being a well-rounded fighter, even if that's not his best thing. He put a hell of a fight up with that wrestling. He did his thing. He definitely went all 5 rounds, and he avoided like 90% of Usman's takedowns. Like, he literally stuffed. At one point, I think in the 4th round at least, Usman went for 8 takedowns, and Masvidal stuffed 7 of them. So, good job on him. Good for him on that part. But now that fight's over, Masvidal took that fight on 6 days' notice. Now that fight's over, it's time to have an opponent that's really going to push Usman, and it's going to make for a more exciting matchup. When Gilbert Burns takes on Kamaru Usman, he won't be able to take the same style. Kamaru Usman is not going to stay on the ground with Gilbert Burns. I don't care if Kamaru Usman takes Gilbert Burns down and has Gilbert Burns on his back. He may work there for a little bit, but you are asking for trouble if you sit there and hold down a 4-time, world Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu champion on his back. Or you might be that man, that dude, and when you hold him down, he doesn't get up, and you just shock the whole world and impress the world. That's cool too. But yeah, Kamaru Usman, dominant performance for the champion. 100% credit. That was my pick to win. Before I wrap up this video, just a quick recap on who I picked to win and who actually won. Paige VanZant versus Amanda Ribas. I picked Amanda Ribas to win, but it was very, very emotional watching Paige VanZant come out. You know, it looked like she was emotional, and you know, this was the last fight in her contract, so you know, that's understandable that this fight was weighing heavy on her. Fortunately and unfortunately, she lost in the first round. It wasn't really close, but you know, things happen. So we'll have to see what happens with her career. The other fight, Rose Namajunas versus Jessica Andrade, that was a great performance. Both fighters improved. Rose Namajunas controlled the first round and the second round, but Andrade was in there. You know, the first fight, Andrade wasn't really moving her shoulders and the head movement. She did a way better job of getting that movement, and I thought she was going to gas out. You know, I thought she was going to tire herself out, but she did not. In the third round, she took over. She was moving that head and setting up her uppercuts, and they were landing, and she was doing amazing work. Rose Namajunas got the victory, though. So that was cool to see. What do you guys think about that fight? Very, very cool. Now, Peter Yan versus Jose Aldo. This was my fight to be an upset. Yeah, Peter Yan was the favorite to win, and I had Jose Aldo with the upset, and he almost made good on what I said. The problem was Jose Aldo went away from those leg kicks. Like in the third round, like Aldo won first round, Aldo won second round. In the third round, you could see, or maybe it was 1-1. I think it was 1-1. I'll have to go back and really look at my notes. But I think it was 1-1, and Aldo was winning, man. Those leg kicks were working just like I thought they would, because, I mean, we saw Jimmy Rivera use them to perfection until he didn't. But Aldo got tired in the third round, and in the fourth round, he got more exhausted. He was running away from Peter Yan. And in the fifth round, I mean, he just received so much unnecessary punishment. He got taken down, and the ref just let him take a brutal, brutal beating. I mean, you know, he's a former champion. He is like one of the greatest champions in featherweight history for sure. But that beating that the referee let him take was so unnecessary. But anyway, Peter Yan won that. He's the bantamweight champion. Kudos to him. You know, we'll see who he's fighting next. It should be Aljamain Sterling, or I saw Cody Garbrandt is looking to push his way in that fight instead of Aljamain Sterling, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be Aljamain Sterling. There's no way that Cody Garbrandt is going to jump over Aljamain Sterling. Like, he's a former champion, you know. I think it's going to take him a few more fights to really get into that spot against Aljamain Sterling. You know, it'd be a good fight, but I don't think that's what you want to do next. I just don't think it makes sense or is ethically the right fight to make. So yeah, there's that. We talked about Max Holloway, Peter Yan. That's it, man. That's it. We didn't really have a lot of knockouts on this card. We only had 2 knockouts, and the best knockout came from a newcomer. Let's see. Get my password right. Yeah, on the prelim card, Volkan Ozdemir fought Jiri Prochazka. And Jiri Prochazka, I watched his highlight tapes, and it was crazy. You could see his opponents were scared of him, you know, when he was striking, and he lands powerful shots. And Volkan Ozdemir, he's known for being the same kind of guy. He lands powerful shots. Volkan Ozdemir won the first round, but in the second round, Jiri, he took over, man. He hit him with a clean clock shot, and I guess he knocked him out in like, what, 49 seconds into the second round. So there's that. Not a lot of KOs, man. Peter Yan gave us like the only remnants of a KO on the main card. Jiri gave us the KO on the prelims, and in the early prelims, Davy Grant. I thought Davy Grant was gonna lose that fight, but you know, Davy Grant got the KO victory in the early prelims, so shout out to him. Absolutely. So we'll talk more about the fights. Let me know what you guys think about this video. Let me know if there's anything in particular that you guys want to know and talk about. Let's keep it rolling, man. I definitely appreciate you guys for you know, subscribing to the channel and checking out the video. And shout out to the fighters, man. If it wasn't for the fighters, I wouldn't be making these YouTube videos. So yeah, Natural Grappler, man. Let's go.